Hello you guys, I hope you're doing very well. I am really struggling with this camera setup because of the lighting. I have the kids in my room, well, two of them. Lincoln's down for a nap, Darren's at school, Landon is sick, and Hudson is in the room with Landon. If you hear them arguing, I'm so sorry. I'm in the living room because my bedroom doesn't have good lighting right now. The sun is on the other side of the house, which is where the living room is. So that's where I am. I gave them my phone so they could like watch something and be preoccupied so I could just have this time, because otherwise they're just gonna be playing and being loud and you won't be able to hear me. But because of that, I had to send myself screenshots of like everyone's questions over text. So I asked you guys questions on Instagram and YouTube, and it's been some time since I've done a Q&A. I've like said I was going to do them multiple times. I never did. I'm really sorry. But I am doing one now. So I'm just gonna go through all of the questions. And yes, I did go through and look at these before because my brain is like a mush. I have ADHD. I like forget what I'm saying mid-sentence all the time. So I had to like at least go over these a little bit. I'm keeping everybody anonymous just because I think that's the respectful thing to do. When I ask like people questions, I like hope to God that they don't put my handle on there because I don't want people to know like what I ask. But somebody asked what was my hardest pregnancy versus my easiest pregnancy. And my easiest one was Landon's. He was my first pregnancy. I mean, I wore heels at like 9 months pregnant. I was on the dance floor 9 months pregnant. I had like no pelvic pain like or anything like that. Obviously my body was going through a lot and there were some like uncomfortable things, but it was not hard at all. And my hardest pregnancy was definitely my third, Hudson's. That was the one during the pandemic. They say like stress really affects your body when you're pregnant, and I just didn't really like ever think anything of that when I was pregnant until that pregnancy. It was during the pandemic. It's when my husband was shipped off to the Air Force, like almost died during boot camp, diagnosed with lupus. We didn't have anywhere to live. Our life plans were changed. I found out my son, my second oldest, was like regressing, and I ended up having so many health complications. I had cholestasis, which is where my liver like wasn't filtering the bile, so it was just like liver bile was freely flowing throughout my body. It itched so bad. Every time I peed, it was like bright red. It looked like straight up apple juice. Crazy. It hurt to walk. I was swollen, but I had a big butt, so jokes aside, I was really swollen, super uncomfortable, and I had 2 minor strokes. It was the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my life. I am like at risk for preeclampsia now and cholestasis since that third pregnancy, but I haven't had any complications since. But definitely my third pregnancy, that was the hardest. I never want to feel that way again. The same person asked my best advice for a new mom. Don't isolate yourself. With Landon, him being my first pregnancy, I felt so alone. Like I felt like I didn't have a village. Like all my friends were in college partying. It was like their freshman year and I was home, and then my husband was 2 years older than me, so he was 21, and like him and his friends could go out, and I just felt so alone. And I wish I had like reached out to my friends more and like wanted to be around people more, but instead I isolated and it made things worse. So just get out, whether it be outside or with friends, family. Like it just feels so much better being around other people, and I feel like it makes new mom life more enjoyable, just having like extra hands and like being around people, because it can be a really isolating time. Oh my gosh, of course my laptop's gonna die. This stuff always happens to me. Okay, I've gotten a couple of these questions, but someone said, if you had a girl, what were some name choices? I've talked about this so many times. One and only name, Magnolia. Her middle name would be Ella, and then obviously Van Martyr. I don't care if I have to name like a freaking goldfish Magnolia, but I will use that name eventually because I love it so much. There was a YouTuber when I was in like 7th or 8th grade, and her name was Magnolia, and I was like, that is the coolest freaking name I've ever heard in my life. Like it's just so pretty. I just loved it so much. And then a couple questions down, someone kind of asked the same thing. What baby names do you have picked out / love? I'm especially interested in girl names. Most of you guys probably know the YouTuber Milena. I think her name is beautiful. Again, like I like names that aren't really used. I also really like the name Charlotte. I like Lorelai from Gilmore Girls. I think the nickname Rory is really cute. Honestly, because I've had so many boys, I haven't really been fixated on girls' names. I just knew that I would probably only get one girl and her name would be Magnolia. So like other than that, I don't know like many other girl names that I'm like super interested in. Isn't your back aching at the end of the day? I have one and it's enough for my body, lol. Yes, especially now that I'm pregnant, my body hurts all the time. Or before I was pregnant, if I were to like go out with my friends and be late at night, I would feel so stiff. Like my back especially does like hurt, but I don't know, I'm also not like exercising my back. It's probably really weak. Someone asked, what are your biggest tips for transitioning from 1 to 2 kids? That feels like a lifetime ago. Like, I honestly feel like I had horrible postpartum depression during those 2 like pregnancies and like after, you know, birth and whatever, that I feel like everything is just mashed together. It's like a big cloud, it's a big fog. I feel like I don't have a ton of memories. Like the memories I have are from me recording and photos. I don't know, I mean, I had my kids so close in age. I was still in the baby stage. Like Landon was only 15 months old when I had Darren. Like that's crazy. I looked at Lincoln when he was 15 months old and I was like, how did I have a newborn? Like you're still a newborn. Like I basically had 2 newborns. That's what was going through my head. Like absolutely insane. I don't know. I feel like it was easy because I was in the baby stage, but I always let Landon like get involved with Darren if he wanted to. Like if I was nursing and Landon wanted to come sit with me, like cool. I don't know. I just didn't overthink things. Like I was strictly in survival mode. Like I was just going through the motions and that worked for me. I wish I had like a better answer, but I was just excited to have another baby, so I wasn't really overthinking like, oh, how will Landon like transition into this. I just knew that like it's going to happen. Like we're bringing a new baby in whether he likes it or not. There's really not much I can do. Also, his language is limited at 15 months old, so I just don't even think he really noticed. I'm really sorry if that was like bad advice, but just don't overthink it. Just keep going through your day. Get your oldest involved if they want to be, and if not, cool, have fun playing with your toys while we feed baby. Someone asked, how do you manage a 1-year-old and being pregnant? I think having 3 older brothers is very helpful for Lincoln. He's very smart. He talks a lot. Like he knows the shows that he wants. He knows the certain foods that he wants to eat, what he wants to drink, if he wants his binky, if he wants his nap, like anything he wants, he will tell me. I want to go outside, okay? Like that has been a huge help because I didn't have that with Darren or Hudson. Darren is like basically still nonverbal. Like he can say a few things, but he's nonverbal. And then Hudson didn't start talking until he was like 1.5. So having a 1-year-old that has like really good communication has been helpful. And also like Landon will take Hudson, or oh my gosh, I get their names confused all the time. Landon will take Lincoln out of his crib like after a nap. Like they're all just like very helpful. I don't know, I just love them. Someone asked what my husband does for a living. So Kevin is a purchasing manager for a certain company in my area. I can't say it because people are insane. He loves it so much. Like Kevin thrives when he's on his own. He's always like worked places where he's had like a higher up or a manager, someone who's just like constantly overseeing and critiquing. And with this job, he's completely on his own and he thrives and like he just loves it so much. Someone asked, how's Darren doing with school? By the way, I really enjoy your videos. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That happens all the time. They are a source of comfort. That is so sweet. I feel that way about so many YouTubers, so the fact that somebody feels that way about me is so kind. So thank you so much. I'm really glad you enjoy them. It's so weird sometimes putting myself on the internet. I'll be editing and I'm like, oh my god, this is so cringy. I'm probably gonna do that with this, so thank you. But Darren's having a really hard time transitioning into kindergarten. He is in an all-inclusive classroom because they don't have a lot of spots open in like the special education rooms, which is insane to me. It's really sad. So he's in a room with 22 other kids. He went from being in a room, I think with like 10 kids to now 22. So he is like constantly having like tantrums and what are they called? They're not, I can't think of the word, but they're not tantrums. It's like basically him just being overstimulated. There's a certain word for it. I'll put it on the screen. I just can't remember it right now. Brain fog. But he's throwing himself to the ground. Like he's just having a hard time, but he loves speech. He loves his speech therapist. He gets so excited every time he gets to go to speech, and he goes 4 times a week or 3 times a week. So he just loves going there and he really thrives in that classroom, which I'm happy for. But He's also eating lunch at the school, and they're telling me he doesn't want their lunch anymore, so I have to bring the lunch, and we're just trying to figure things out. It's really hard because obviously there's no open communication. Like, he can't tell me what bothers him, but he does come home from school really cranky, and it's just been a little bit rough, but I'm hoping it'll get better. The next person asked if we're still thinking of moving to Florida, and no, it seemed like a great idea when the opportunity was presented to us, but with my husband having lupus, he can't be in the sun. And I don't think that we'll do well there. I do have family there. I just have all of Kevin's family, and I have all my friends. And I think that was the biggest thing. Like, I do feel isolated sometimes being a stay-at-home mom. Like, I can't imagine being a stay-at-home mom and having no friends there, because I don't work. Like, this is my job. This is how I contribute financially. All right, I had to help Hudson, and the sun is moving, so I'm repositioning my phone. But somebody asked, what did I do for a job before, what job did you have before YouTube and being a stay-at-home mom? So I have been a server ever since I was like 17 years old. And then I stopped working at that last restaurant because the pandemic hit. And then I obviously had 3 kids at the time, and the price for daycare is just insane, let alone during a pandemic. Like, there were wait lists, and we just decided that it would be easier if I stayed home. And then I think like 6 months after that, I got monetized on YouTube, and I started making around like $500 a month, and I was able to contribute that way. It was less than what I was making serving, but also I could only work part-time serving because when Kevin was at work, I was home, and then when Kevin was home, I was working. So I really only worked on weekends. Same person asked, could you ever imagine yourself having a girl? You're such an amazing boy mom. I almost can't even imagine you being a girl mom. So many people say that to me, and like, I have always pictured myself having a daughter. Like, the fact that I don't feels really weird. Like, I don't feel like I fit being a boy mom. I mean, I had 2 brothers growing up and a sister. I just don't know. Like, I want to play with like Barbies and American Girl dolls, and like, I feel like I'm a girly girl. So I think that's why I think like I'd be a good girl mom, but like a boy mom, I don't know. But I am like aggressive with my boys in a good way, like wrestling and stuff. Is your son with autism verbal? If this is not something you wish to discuss online, I totally understand and respect that. I work with middle schoolers with autism, so I've just loved learning more about autism and how it presents differently. I do like talking about it online. It's actually something that I probably should go to like therapy for, honestly. That whole experience was so traumatizing because Darren was like completely normal, hitting every single milestone until like 15 months. He wouldn't even respond when I called his name. We actually thought he was going deaf for a little bit, but yes, he is still nonverbal. He counts to 10. He says ready, set, go. He says no appropriately, which is really important when you have autism. Like, you can say words, but if you're not using them appropriately, it doesn't count. He's babbling a lot. He's getting there. But yeah, no, I totally like talking about it online. I thought about making a whole video, but every time I do, it really just feels like a whole vent session, because this has been like, honestly, the most traumatic, like devastating thing I've ever gone through, just because I had a really close relationship with Darren up until like that 15 months, and then he kind of just like backed away. I do have a lot of questions about Darren in here, so I thought I'd just add a little bit more to that answer. Someone asked, how do you do it? I'm 6 months pregnant, and I was at Target today with my 2-year-old throwing a tantrum, and when I was cleaning his butt in the bathroom, I was out of wipes, and I felt so overwhelmed I almost cried because I realized I have another on the way. I feel so incapable. I put my maternity leggings back on the shelf and walked out. No, I have totally been there. Every time I find out I'm pregnant, I have that, oh my gosh, am I gonna be able to handle this? Like, I am so overwhelmed with where I'm at in life, and then the baby comes and I handle it because I have to, and like everything ends up working out. As far as going to the store, yeah, no, I totally feel that. I have had to bring multiple of my kids into the store, and like, I get so many comments where people are like, you seem so sweet and gentle, which is true, but I also have this look that I give my kids where I'm like, if you don't stop right now, like, I swear. And they're just like, Or like I'll give them my phone. I don't care. Like if I have to be in the store, the last thing I'm going to do is put everything back while I'm pushing this big cart with like all of you little children in here and then putting you all back into the car just to get nothing. Like no, I'm completing my trip, and sometimes I do feel really overwhelmed. Man, I don't know. I just put on a brave face and like do it. How and when do you find time for yourself? Do you have help with the kids in terms of babysitting them? Like who is watching them when you went to the doctor's office and when you go to the store by yourself? Do you wait for Kevin to come home? Okay, there's a lot of questions to unpack here. So how and when do you find time for yourself? Oh my gosh, excuse me. Time for yourself. If I want to go somewhere like with my friends, I just like run it by Kevin like, hey, my friends are getting together this day, and he's usually really cool with it. Me and Kevin are really, really good at giving each other like our alone time. And then I get alone time like after the kids go to sleep. Usually by then I'm tired, like I'm on my phone. But anytime I want to like go out with my friends or go to dinner or like have a sleepover with my cousin or like party or whatever, like Kevin's like, cool, like go do it. Which is so nice. I know a lot of women don't have that, and that breaks my heart. So do you have help with the kids in terms of babysitting them? So who was watching them when I went to my OB appointment? Kevin was. He took the time off of work so I could go to my OB appointment. We don't really have friends or family that can watch them during the week because everybody works. So Kevin will just usually take some time off during the morning to watch them while I go to my appointments. I also have my best friend in the entire world. Her dad and her brother and his girlfriend are like my other go-to babysitters. I have somebody who was a couple years younger than me in high school that watches my boys, who I trust. She actually works with Kevin too. Kevin's mom, because she lives really close. My mom does not watch my boys. I've gotten that question before. I have not seen or talked to my mom in almost 2 years. So she does not watch them anymore. She used to when we had like a relationship, but the story time for a different day. But yeah, Kevin's family, mainly his mom and sometimes his grandma, they will watch the boys. Sometimes his cousins will. Like we have people like my cousin, my aunt. What do the boys do when I cook dinner or clean the house? Literally wreak havoc. And that's why a lot of the times you guys will see me with like my headphones on because they're noise canceling. Usually when Darren and Landon come home from school, like all heck breaks loose and they're screaming and they're fighting, and like the fighting drives me nuts because they scream so loud and that's really triggering to me. I have like freaking PTSD. It puts me into fight or flight mode and I want to crawl into myself and I want to cry and hide and like cover my ears. And I can't do that when I have kids, obviously, so that's what they're doing. And it's like the most overstimulating time. It's literally from like 4 o'clock to like 6:30. It's like the witching hours. It's just like crazy here. But sometimes I do get really nice moments where they're like playing nicely or like watching a movie, but most of the time they're just like wrestling each other. Does he work every day of the week? Yes, Kevin does work every day of the week. Wait, no he doesn't. He works 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. How much screen time for the kids? Okay, listen, I'm a screen mom. I am. I've really tried not to be, but with 4 boys and not having a backyard or a fenced-in backyard to just let them go out and be wild, I depend on the TV. But also, my boys have gotten really good at like playing with toys. I mainly use it for background noise. Like I need the background noise. It helps like filter out like the yelling and the crashing of the toys and stuff for me. Other than that, my boys do not really get my phone anymore. Landon used to have my phone all the time. Same with Darren. They don't get it anymore. Caused way too many like behavioral issues. As they're screaming right now with my phone, because this is a rarity. And said, my one question is, how do you keep so patient with parenting / day-to-day life, etc.? I literally don't. I am really working on my patience. I get extremely triggered. It's not really something I've been open about because it's been a really hard pill to swallow, but I just grew up with a mom who was not patient. She was not very nice. She was very neglectful. She made it very clear that we were a problem for her. She would be very overstimulated, and when you grow up in that environment, you can't help but pick up those things. And the only reason, like one of the only reasons that it's gotten better is because I have Kevin and I see how Kevin reacts to certain situations and I'm like, wow, like he's so patient. And I have to continually remind myself, like, it's not that deep. What they're doing isn't a big deal. Give them grace. They've been on this earth for like 3 years, 5 years, etc. And I have to take a deep breath and like calm myself down, because if I get overwhelmed or if I get triggered, like I go into that fight or flight mode and I don't have patience. So I do work on it, like continuously every single day, and it's really hard, and sometimes I yell. So patience is definitely something that I'm working on, and I'm willing to admit that, because I feel like there's so many moms on here that come on and they're like so sweet and so nice, and behind the screens they're not, and it makes other moms feel like crap. But yeah, patience is something I'm definitely working on. I am so much better than what I was when I had my first baby, Landon. Like there was no patience. Like I was trying, but I was like, why is everything triggering me? Like, why am I always overstimulated? Now it's so much better. I mean, you can't be perfect though. You know, I feel like I kind of hold myself to high expectations, but you literally cannot be perfect. So yeah, sometimes I'm not gonna have patience, but for the most part, we're working on it. We're doing better. Hi, I was wondering, when did you start potty training your kids, and who was the hardest one to potty train? Okay, there's multiple questions. Landon literally potty trained himself. So when it came time to potty training Hudson, because Darren is still in diapers, I literally didn't know what to do. I potty trained him during my first trimester. He is going to be 4 in November. He was a late talker, so that's why it was also delayed, because I'm not gonna potty train a child that cannot communicate to me that they have to go to the bathroom. Oh God, this lighting. I would just put them in underwear and be like, you have to tell me when you have to go potty. Like literally just asking them all the time, do you have to go potty? Do you have to go potty? Hudson's the kind of kid that hates being wet. So he didn't like being in like underwear at first. He only wanted to be in diapers while we were potty training, which was fine. But once he like saw that he could go potty, and he knew that Landon did, like he would want to. And then with Landon, like, I don't know, he was just like fascinated by the toilet. So he was like always going. He wouldn't even ask me. I'd be like, where is this little child? And then I'd see just a whole mess in my bathroom. But I'm like, you know what, at least he's trying. And he would have accents through the night, and just until he didn't. And yeah, I really don't know. Like I feel like I should have these answers, but we're just like going with the flow. I'm just going based off of that child's needs. But consistency is probably my number one tip. If you start, don't stop, and then start again, and then stop. Like if we go out somewhere, usually in the beginning I will have them wear a diaper, and then I'll just be like, do you have to go potty? Do you have to go potty? I'll make sure they don't drink anything before, they aren't making any accidents at home for X amount of days. Like then they will wear underwear when we go out, and they know better, like, oh, I don't want to be wet. Also, when did you send your boys to preschool? So Landon went to preschool when he was 4. That is the age that you have to be. So Hudson isn't in preschool because he was born on the cutoff. So he turns 4 in November, and obviously the school year starts in September, so we have to wait a whole extra year. They did have the PK3 program, but I would have to drive him, and I am not trying to do all that while being pregnant and then while being postpartum. That's just way too much for me. So like we do little things at home. I plugged my laptop in. I'm hoping it turns on soon. And also Darren's getting off the bus soon. So I really hope that this thing hurries up and charges. But I do know another question that somebody asked, and that was, oh, there it goes. If we have a baby name picked out, and we do, and I'm not going to share it just because we haven't shared it with like all of our family and friends, and I don't want them watching this and being like, oh, like why didn't she tell us? So I'm going to tell you guys soon in a video when I'm ready to, but I'm really excited. I had seen the name before, didn't really think anything of it, and then I randomly saw it, and I was like picturing my family like calling out to him saying that name. That's how I like can tell if I like a name and if it fits. And I was like, wow, that like fits. Like I could see like, you know, my friends calling him by that name, or like my family members. And I was like, oh, this is great. His middle name is Craig. We named him after Kevin's late grandfather who passed away during COVID. We use family names as middle names. So it was between Craig and Patrick, and Craig just flows better with his first name. Okay, Kevin just got home, and I had to move the camera again because you guys can see like the sun is just messing with everything. But someone said, you make it look so easy. How? I feel like I already answered that. literally am just going day by day. Like, it is not easy. I am like dead and beat by the end of every day, and I have a lot of struggles too, but I just try not to regret anything. Like, that is the one thing that I just don't want my kids ever growing up feeling like they can't come to me or I did a bad job. So I just try to do my best every day. The same person asked if baby number 5 was planned, and no. Me and Kevin have always said, like, if it happens, it happens. And a couple months before I got pregnant, I literally asked my OB for birth control, but I'm just weird about taking birth control. Like, it's horrible for your body. I don't want to mess with my hormones. And then I found out I was pregnant. I had literally filmed a vlog like a couple days before talking about how, like, I feel like I'm out of the baby stage. I feel like I'm getting to know myself again. Like, I'm finding new interests. I don't really have babies anymore. Lincoln's a toddler, literally gets pregnant. And I was like, but now I'm really excited, and like, I've had all of my kids really close in age, so I don't really feel like I'm starting over again and I'm like new to all of this. So, and they also asked, or well, they said they would love a Q&A with me and Kevin. Kevin and I have tried a Q&A before. It's really hard. Kevin's like camera shy, but like, I'll try. We'll see. They also asked, what does self-care and rest look like in your 5th pregnancy? Honestly, if I'm tired one day, I'm not cleaning the house. I'm sitting down, I'm resting, I'm doing like work on my computer. Like, I will not beat myself ragged, because then I will be irritable and I won't be a good mom and I'll be miserable for everybody, and that's not fair. So resting, like, if I need to rest, I'm going to rest. And as far as self-care, I don't really know. Like, I take a lot of baths. I will go out with my friends if I want. I really haven't been doing that much because I'm tired. I don't know. Am I not doing enough self-care? Okay. Uh-oh. I like still don't know how to like control the brightness on this camera. There we go. Okay. Somebody asked, I hear people talk about others losing their identity, both working moms and stay-at-home moms. Do you or did you come across this? There's a lot of questions. Yes. One, because I got pregnant when I was 19 years old. So first of all, I had no idea who I was in high school. I had literally no self-confidence, like literally no self-confidence at all. And I can gladly say this is the most confident I've ever been in my life. Like, you could literally not tell me anything and it would bother me. I know who I am. I'm very confident now, but yes, I already had no identity, and then I got pregnant and I was like, okay, I'm a child, having a child, spiral central basically. But they said, what are your views and opinions on mothers not knowing who they are anymore after children? I think that's extremely common. You are no longer the center of your world, your child is, so it's a huge shift. And when I had Landon, like before then, it was like 2016, like full glam makeup. I was really into makeup. I wanted to like do other people's makeup for like a living or whatever. And then I had a baby and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to wear all this makeup. It's gonna get on him. So like, I stopped doing makeup for the longest time. It just wasn't something that interested me anymore. Like, all of my interests just completely shifted. It was weird. So they also asked if I overcame it, what did you do? Or if you didn't have this hurdle, anything similar. I just had to start finding things that I enjoyed, and honestly, like going out with my friends was something that I enjoyed. Or starting YouTube. Honestly, like, I have always wanted to be a YouTuber. Like, literally since I was a kid, I was like watching Fred, the Annoying Orange, like Shane Dawson, like Mac Barbie 07, Mac Baby 11, like the OG YouTubers. And I was like, I want to do that, but I was a child and my life was not exciting and I didn't have money to like show makeup stuff. So when I found out I was pregnant, I had nobody, like couldn't ask my mom, literally no village. So I turned to YouTube. If I can look up hair tutorials, there's gotta be a tutorial on how to be a mom, you know what I mean? So that's what I looked up, and then in my head I was like, why don't I just do this? Like, why don't I share my experience and create my own village? And that's what I did, and YouTube ended up becoming like a huge outlet for me. It became a really big hobby, and it still is, so that is my answer. What has been your biggest cravings this pregnancy? Honestly, I don't really know. I know that I just like deli meat more when I'm pregnant. I know you can't eat that, but I really like deli meat when I'm pregnant. I don't know, I feel like I'm not really craving a lot right now. Usually I get more cravings in the first trimester and the third, so I will report back. Okay, these questions kind of go hand in hand. Someone said, is it possible to have so many kids and not have a heart attack? I have only one and I am stressed. Kevin is a big help. I wouldn't, like, I think I'd lose my mind if I didn't have Kevin, honestly. Like, Kevin is a big reason that I'm not having a heart attack. How do you take care of so many kids while also being pregnant? My first trimester was literally insane. You guys would have like freaked out if you saw my house. Like, I was letting my kids eat anything, letting them eat wherever they wanted. My carpets were destroyed. The dishes were never being done. Kevin was doing them. I like could barely get out of bed. It was so hard. Like, I never want to experience that ever again. It was like having the flu every single day. It was horrendous and awful. But now that I'm in my second trimester, I'm feeling way more like myself. It's just easier. Okay, but those are all the questions that I'm going to get to today. I do have more, but I could probably just do like a part 2 of this video. Darren's about to get off the bus like any minute now anyway, and the kids want to come out of the room. Kevin's home from work. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.